Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a New England style skillet cake, corn cake, or spider cake. It's referred to a number of different things. I usually just refer to it as a corn cake or spider cake. In this particular recipe, I will not be incorporating actual kernels of corn. I will frequently do that, which actually makes it more of a southern style and probably not true to the New England style skillet cake. But I like to modify recipes anyway. When I do incorporate the corn kernels into the cake, what I do is I'll take an ear of corn, I'll scrape the kernels off, uncooked, scrape the kernels off, and then I milk the cob. And the way to milk the cob is to take the back of a butter knife and scrape or milk the cob, and so that the sweet juices come off and mix with the kernels. It's actually the way I begin making a creamed corn from scratch as well. Anyways, I'm going to take the two types of ingredients, the dry ingredients and wet ingredients, keep them into separate bowls for this recipe. The dry ingredients consist of 1 1/4 cups of yellow cornmeal, a 1/2 cup of white sugar, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. The wet ingredients that I'll blend it with are 2 cups of buttermilk and 2 large eggs, and those are beaten together and mixed together really well before I'm adding the dry ingredients. Now you can see what I'm doing is I'm slowly adding the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. It allows me this way to blend it easier, to make sure it's more thoroughly blended. It's easier for me to do it if I slowly add it. As I'm doing that, you'll see that the batter starts to form, so that everything starts to thicken up. As I dump the rest in there, I'll stir it, make sure everything is really well blended together. And what I'll have when this is all stirred up is a really nice batter. Again, if you're going to be incorporating corn into this, which I actually recommend, it's my favorite way to do it, but just so happens the guests that I'm cooking for prefer the corn cake without corn. So I would recommend that you definitely try that out. But if you are going to incorporate the corn into this recipe, now would be the time to mix the uncooked corn into the batter, along with the sweet juices that come from the cob when you milk it. So I have everything really nicely and well blended together. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm going to take the batter that I just created. I'm going to dump it into a cast iron skillet. But first, I need to take 2 good heavy tablespoons of butter, 2 liberal tablespoons of butter, and mix it and melt it into the cast iron skillet so that the butter is broken down to a liquid. If you do any type of southern cooking at all, a cast iron skillet is a must-have. They're not that expensive, and they will last you your entire life and probably your grandkids' entire life. So get a cast iron skillet if you don't have one. I think it adds an enormous amount of enjoyment to cooking. There's something special about cooking in a cast iron skillet, something old school, and something that almost feels like you're cooking your grandmother's recipe when you're cooking in a cast iron skillet. So do yourself a favor and get one, because it allows you to also develop, while it allows you to cook recipes properly, it also allows you to pass something on to your grandkids that is of value to you. Yeah, there's something special about a cast iron skillet I can't speak highly enough of. What I've done after that basically is decided to slowly dump in my batter once the butter was completely melted. And then I'm just going to mix it all together so that the butter blends with the batter. And everything is really well mixed together. Now you can see what a nice light, almost foamy batter that this creates. I've got it kind of on medium heat right now. It was just what I was melting the butter on. And once it's well blended together, it's time to pop into the oven again at that was preheated to 400 degrees. You're going to bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes. This is after 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes in the oven, what I do, you can see how it's almost done, but not really quite done yet. What I do is take a cup of heavy cream and dump it on top of the almost complete cornbread, or corn cake, I should say. And what I'll do too is I'll take the spatula and I'll just kind of start blending it together, mixing it into the corn cake. So you can see where the top layer is still not completely cooked. So it allows this heavy cream to kind of soak in to the cake from the top. Now this is not a necessary step. If you obviously want to cut down on the calories in this cake, I would leave the heavy cream out. But if you're trying to increase the moisture, increase the flavor, I would definitely incorporate this because it's a great step. So I've just mixed it together. Then I'll pop it back into the oven for another 5 minutes or so. And I'll pull it out, and you can see how the cream has kind of soaked into the corn cake. You can see little spots where that cream is a little bit more visible than others, but it's definitely soaked into that cake and creates a nice little layer underneath. The cake at this point is spongy to the touch. I know that it's complete. It's starting to brown a little bit on the top, in a good way. So it's finished. Basically, what I'll do at this point is just let it rest for, I don't know, just enough time so that it can definitely cool down. And then just slice it up and serve it. Now you can also serve this corn cake with maple syrup if you want. Putting maple syrup on this and serving it as dessert is a great way to top off a barbecue. Again, I usually just serve this in place of cornbread with my barbecue. Again, I highly encourage you to use corn in the actual recipe. Again, take the corn off the cob and milk it so you get some sweetness and throw it into this recipe. Or serve it like this, prepare it like this. Either way, you're going to have an absolutely great corn cake side dish for your barbecue. Check out some of our other barbecue recipes on our Backyard Barbecue series here on our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to go vote on your favorite style of barbecue at the link provided below at pollsmash.com.